The Joe Rogan Experience.
And it's meant to be that you're roasting the president. Like, Trump's just there. He's like, actually, he's like there as part of the support. And then they turned it around and just started roasting Trump. And he's just sitting there. He's like, yo, I just came to the dinner. I'm just here to support.
You know what it was because of, right? The birther stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what it all was. It was all, Trump was at the head of a lot of these people spreading this rumor online that Obama's birth certificate was forged, then he's actually from Kenya. And what's weird is, if you go back to Obama's early days, there are some things that say he's from Kenya. Like, I think in his, something from college said he was from Kenya. But, that could just be, people print things wrong all the time. It doesn't mean he's actually from Kenya. But Trump was one of those guys that was like spreading that supposedly false rumor.
Was he pushing it hard? This is the kind of thing where I want to just go and look at saying, what did he actually say?
No, he definitely was.
Okay.
He was definitely saying, look, I don't think he has the time to go into things like very deeply.
Yeah.
And so I think he could probably be influenced by a bunch of people, like these Marjorie Taylor Greene type people who come to him with some wild ass theory.
Sure.
He might be, and I think there's a lot of that stuff that gets fed to people on purpose so that they'll say incorrect things so that they're easy to dismiss. Sure. And I think there's also a lot of people that just make shit up and, they tell you the earth is flat and then a bunch of people watch a YouTube video and they believe it.
Yeah, well, but on that White House Correspondence dinner, I was there, and the degree to which they attacked Trump at that White House Correspondence dinner was really, it was so over the top. It was like making everyone uncomfortable.
Really?
It was really over the top. I think it's like sort of a passing joke of like, a few passing jokes are fine, but they twisted the knife big on Trump in that, and you could see Trump just getting like angrier and angrier and more upset.
I wonder if that's
because it's like, man, this is not good karma, That's what I was thinking at the time. I was two tables away from Trump, and I'm looking, I'm like, man, this is too much,
Well, it's kind of crazy what they made out of that, because that's the kind of guy that if you tell him he can't do something, he's going to just keep trying. Like,
it was a big mistake to rag on him so much at that White House Correspondence Dinner.
Well, just look at the way they've attacked him with just using the legal system, like this thing in New York where the 34 different felony counts that were essentially misdemeanors, that there are bookkeeping errors that they decided, even though it passed the statute of limitations, they decided to try him for these. They didn't identify a felony.
Abuse of the law is what's going on.
But most people would have quit. Yeah. Most people, after the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit and this lawsuit and all the other ones, the insurrection thing, the Georgia thing, all these different things, they getting kicked off of Twitter, most people would have just like, this is too much. I can't take this. But he's so fucking crazy. He's like, all right, come on, we're going to war. And he just digs his fucking heels in and keeps going.
Yeah.
It's the wrong guy to do that to.
It is the wrong guy to do that to.
Attacking him at the White House Correspondence Dinner, most people would have been humiliated. He got angry. And he's like, yeah, all right. You say I can't be president? I've been thinking about running for about 15 fucking years.
Right.
Finally, I'm going to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a real bad move. But yeah, I could certainly understand like making some jokes about like, a few sort of passing jokes on Trump, but man, I was there at that dinner and that they ragged on Trump so much it was insane.
The reason why I would push back on that, because I would say there's a bunch of different speakers, right? And Trump would obviously be a target. And if they all attacked him, it's because he's like, if you're going to make fun of people in the audience, and especially in the zeitgeist, that whole birther thing was big. Yeah. And most people were dismissing it as being a ridiculous conspiracy theory. So who the fuck is this guy saying this?
Sure.
And so you have 8 to 10 individual speakers that are writing monologues. Of course, they're all going to hit Trump.
Yeah, well, anyway, obviously it was a mistake.
Yeah,
they shouldn't have done that. But I invite people to watch the original source material, and I think a few jokes are fine. It's like, but it's like he shouldn't be it felt like he was the primary object of the roast.
Yeah,
which is that's not the whole point of the thing. Is it's the roast of the president, not a roast of the audience.
The thing about it is like he's easy to roast.
Yeah,
and then on top of that, Obama was like loved and cherished by the left.
Yes.
And most of those people are on the left. There's only so far you can push. You can't ask him about his chef. There's like what happened with the chef, bro?
Yeah.
You can't. There's like certain things you can't bring up.
You want to?
Yeah.
What's your favorite sport? Paddleboarding?
Yeah. Wasn't that guy a really good swimmer?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't bring that up.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna roast Hillary, you can't bring up the death count.
Like, Hillary, what's the best way to stay in touch? Email?
Yeah. It's if you're doing one of those
she
things.
destroyed the servers and poured like bleach on the servers, like computers.
She poured bleach on them?
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I believe.
Wow.
Like it wasn't just like they took a hammer to it. They like destroyed like there was no possible way to actually get forensics on the thing.
What was in there? I mean,
Well,
what?
Like that's what I mean.
What was in there? What was in there?
Why would they care so much?
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
The whole thing
And
is
there was
crazy.
no legal action against that, which is clear destruction of evidence.
Well, it's also there's this other narrative that always drives me crazy is that he's going to destroy democracy. So in order to destroy democracy, we have to install a president without a primary.
Right.
We have to have a candidate that is the least liked vice president of all time, the least popular vice president of all time, and then use gaslighting and the full force of the media machine to turn her into the future. And hope.
Right.
And then she's going to be changed, even though she's a sitting vice president. And then on top of that, this idea of change when the Democrats have been in control for 12 of 16 years?
Right.
Which is crazy. Like, this is the change.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I view this election as a turning point, like a fork in the road of destiny that is incredibly important. I've not been politically active until this election. And the reason I've been politically active this election is because I think if we don't elect Trump, I think we will lose. We will lose democracy in this country. We will lose the two-party system. And let me explain why. So there's only like six or seven swing states. The margin of victory in those states is small, often like 10 or 20,000 votes. What the Democrat administration has been doing is importing vast numbers of illegals into swing states. You can look at the numbers on the actual government website, meaning you don't take my word for it. You'll just look at the numbers as reported by the government, which is controlled by the Democrats. And what we're seeing is triple-digit increases in the number of illegals in every swing state. In some cases, 700% increases. These are gigantic numbers. So if you have a state that has a 10 or 20,000 vote margin, and you put 200,000 illegals into that state, you 10x you swamp the. It's not a swing state anymore. It's going to vote blue, and then once the swing states vote blue, there is no election anymore. There's only a Democrat primary,
which is so crazy, and it's so crazy that people are fine with that.
Well, I guess people on the left will be fine with that because they think that's a good idea.
They just want to win. They just want to win.
Correct. Like the thing is, one does not need actually any grand conspiracy theory for this. You just have to look at the simple matter of incentives. If the Democrat Party wants to win, like basically achieve permanent victory, all they need to do is turn the swing states. Turn the swing states blue. They have permanent victory. And then we're a one-party state, and then they will keep doing that. Obviously, they will keep stacking the deck by bringing in vast numbers of illegals into the swing states. Keep stacking it so that the next election, each successive election, will be worse than the last one. And that's what's happening. If you want to see, like, well, is this actually going to happen? Well, look at California. California is supermajority Dem, 70% Dem. A month ago, they passed a law making it illegal to show ID in any election in California. So a friend of mine went to vote in Palo Alto because he was like, "Is this for real?" He tried to show his ID, and they reacted like if you show a cross to a vampire. Okay, they're like, "No, we can't even look at that ID." It is illegal for them to even look at your ID if you want to present it in California.
Why?
For any election at all, even like city council.
What logical reason other than to cheat would you ever have that law?
The reason is to cheat.
It's only like you can never make an argument any other way. And I think 84% of people polled believe that you should show ID to vote. So it's against the will of the people.
Yes, and we are extremely rare. We're an outlier in not requiring ID. Basically, almost every country on earth requires ID to vote. So as soon as you you ban ID for voting, it makes fraud impossible to prove. Because how do you trace the fraud?
Right. Yeah, it's insane.
It's insane.
It's insane.
And what I'm saying is that
how is it legal?
What I'm saying is like this election is the last chance to preserve democracy in America. Mark my words. Everything they accuse Trump of, they are guilty of. And if Trump doesn't win, this will be the last real election in America. And we will, if the big government Kamala puppet machine wins, they will legalize the illegals in the swing states. There will be no swing states. Every election going forward will be a guaranteed Democrat win. And it'll actually be worse than California. The reason it'll be worse than California is because the one thing that keeps California from being super crazy is that you can move out of California, like you and I did. You and I used to be in California, but we moved to Texas. We're still in America. But if the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried to push back?
And I just want to go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. This is the last chance, man.
Is there any argument against this? Has anybody tried to debate this? Has anybody tried to say that this is nonsense, this is a conspiracy? Has anybody made any sort of a rational argument?
The left actually, interestingly, does not want to pick up much on this argument because the more attention the more you look at it, the more obviously it is true. Because you just say like, well, are the numbers correct? Are there really this many illegals that have been imported into swing states? Yes. They haven't just walked across the border. They've been flown in airplanes.
Yeah. Using a shipping app.
Yes.
Yeah.
They made an app.
Well, the app always existed, but it used to be for people coming over here, like shipping with goods, so they could track you while you're in America, so you could legally be here, they know where you are. And then they changed it to allow that app to schedule illegal aliens to come across the border.
Yes.
Asylum seekers.
Yes.
Come on in.
Yes.
Oh, you have an app. And you fly people in.
They're literally being flown in to the swing states. And so the reason that I think the left doesn't want to push back on this is because the more attention that this gets, the more people will realize it is true.
Yeah, it is true.
That's why they don't. That's why they're just pretending that they're pretending. I'm not saying anything, but I'm like, yo, they're literally flying vast numbers of illegals who are then beholden to the Democrats. And sometimes I get the rebuttal of people say like, well, you know, these illegals they don't have the same social values as the Democrat Party because they're like more socially conservative. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the point. If you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, their primary thing is staying in the country and getting their friends and family in, and then the Democrats give them all these benefits, like tons of benefits, more benefits than than citizens, literally.
Yeah.
They're beholden to the Democrats for all these benefits. They want to get their friends and family in, which the Democrats support and the Republicans don't, so they vote Dem. And you can look empirically at California and say, like, did they vote Republican or Democrat in California? Oh, they voted Democrat, big time.
Well, Reagan gave them amnesty in the 1980s, and that
86.
changed the state basically, except for Arnold, changed the state entirely blue.
Yes.
And Arnold was an exception because he was like a socially liberal, famous guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, didn't really impose any radical restrictions on any of the people that were going to vote Democrat in the first place. The whole thing is just, it's bizarre to watch play out because it just seems like this can't be actually what's happening. Did you see my conversation with Fetterman about it?
Yeah.
He was completely in denial about it. I don't think there's that level of organization. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Exactly. Just because you can break it down. So like, are any of these numbers wrong? Because we got these numbers from Homeland Security Government.gov. Okay.
Right.
So we got it from the .gov website. Has the government reported these numbers incorrectly? No, they have not. Those numbers, if anything, are low. So they have in fact flown vast numbers of illegals to swing states,
Yeah.
bypassing the border entirely. And so that is factually true. Then you can say, like, well, what is their probable voting pattern? Overwhelmingly Democrat into swing states. And then, well, but do the Democrats actually want to fast track them for citizenship? Yes, they do. You can see Chuck Schumer on TV saying at a rally this year was saying he wants to fast track and make all 11 million or however many, I believe his quote was, citizens as soon as possible. So the goal is they are fast tracking citizenship as quickly as possible, so whether one thinks it's cheating or not, it won't matter because they will be fully able to vote.
And for people on the left,
this is actually happening. I invite people to rebut this and show me where I am wrong. Please do so.
No, they can't.
They can't.
They can't
Because it's true.
Well, what's scary to me is that there's people that are on the left, like people that were Bernie Sanders supporters, for example.
Yeah,
like
Bernie got screwed with talk about undermining democracy. Bernie should have won the nomination,
Exactly.
and they stole it from him and gave it to Hillary.
Exactly. That was what I was going to bring up. Like they control the primary process.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you have a Democratic primary, it's not democratic. We just saw that. We saw it with Bernie. We saw it with Kamala. That like a week before Biden, was summarily fired, he was posting that he's in it for the long term. He's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not giving up. And the next thing you know, Sunday afternoon, they're posting on X that he's resigned from the race.
Which is.
And his staff didn't even know. Like, they're reading it on the X platform okay, that's how they learned about it.
What do you think happened there? How did they do that?
Because he's clearly just not in charge, obviously.
They could have used the 25th Amendment, right?
Fake president.
But they would have to admit that there was a certain period of time where they knew that he was mentally compromised.
Yes.
And so they made this decision to not do that.
Well, the weird thing is that the president's supposed to be the boss.
Right.
And yet he's obviously not the boss.
Right. So who's running the country? If she's busy campaigning, she's so busy she can't do anything except Saturday Night Live. She did that. She's so busy. She's constantly campaigning. How could you be paying attention to international relations?
Yeah.
How could you be paying attention to the economy? How could you be paying attention to any of those things? How do you have the time? You can't.
Yeah. I mean, Biden being the president's supposed to be the CEO, the chief guy, he was commander in chief. But it's just obviously that Biden was not. He was just a puppet. And when the various puppet masters decided that the puppet was no longer useful, they just tossed out the puppet and then got a new puppet with Kamala. I mean, Kamala can't even talk. Now, you invited her on your show. I think the most damage that could possibly be done to a campaign is going on your show and seeing what she says in hours 2 and 3.
2 and 3 is when things get
2
spicy.
And 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
You could hide for 20
She's
minutes.
gonna melt.
You can hide for 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just regurgitate talking points for, half an hour, maybe an hour, just where she's just saying like non sequiturs, but eventually she just runs out of non sequiturs.
Well, they wanted to limit it to an hour.
Exactly. That's why.
But I was thinking of doing it initially before Trump came here. First of all, when they found out that there was a rumor, I never announced that Trump was coming. What I was going to do is just release it. The way I like to do things, I don't like to tell anybody who's coming on. It'll get big no matter what. If Trump was on, it would have been huge. I'm like, just put it out there. People go crazy.
Yeah.
But he apparently, or someone from his organization, some loose lips, and then it got out. And so she contacted my management company, and her organization, her campaign contacted us and said, would Joe have her on? I said yes. And they said she wants you to fly to where she is, and she's only willing to do 45 minutes.
Only 40. I mean, that's.
And I was like, oh, no. So I thought about doing it. I'm like, maybe I can get a sense. Maybe I could convince her. Maybe I could coax her into doing more time. I just wanted to talk to her.
Yes.
Well, I don't give a fuck what we talk about. We talk about recipes. I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Just talk to me.
The things like you just can't like you can't just output bullshit non sequiturs for 3 hours.
Right.
But for 45 minutes you could do.
I thought maybe for 45 minutes I could get something out of it. But then when Trump came and did the 3 hours, I was like, you know what? It has to be like this. This is the only way.
To be fair, it's got to be like a three hours.
And it should be in this room.
Yes.
Because this room has like a history of people
this room
expressing
has good vibes,
themselves.
actually.